Alright guys, our next guest is one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world. He is the current UFC flyweight champion and he just scored an amazing win over Kyoji Hiraguchi with 1 second left via armbar at UFC 186. He is none other than Demetrious Johnson. Demetrious, welcome to Submission Radio. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, you being the flyweight champ, the honor is definitely all ours. You know, it's been a week removed from another dominant title defense. Tell us, what's your usual routine with your family after you finish a fight? Do you guys go on a small holiday? Is there a fun tradition you guys have?
Typically, it's just me coming home, spending time with them. You know, the kids are too young for the traveling. You know, my wife just had our second child, 10 days after my fight. And, obviously me and the wife are going to take a trip to Vegas here pretty soon for her birthday, Memorial Day weekend. And then we're just going to relax with each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously you've got the new child, so congratulations, Demetrious. Now that the fight's over, does the wife put down some of the house chores on you? Like, look, Demetrious, you're not getting ready for a fight anymore. It's time to change the diapers and time to mow the lawn outside.
Well, obviously, since I'm back home from Montreal, there's no way getting around that. But I like to think that I'm pretty hands-on, even when I'm in training camp, changing diapers, washing dishes. That's just stuff I enjoy and be part of my children's life.
There you go, champion in the octagon, champion at home. Now, you submitted Hiraguchi with 1 second left. Tell us about what was going through your mind. You were obviously going to win the fight, but you took a risk and you went for the armbar. Why did you do that, and how confident were you that you could actually finish the submission?
I was very confident I was going to be able to finish the submission. As long as I got myself in that right position to finish it, I knew I would be able to finish it. It was just a matter of time, me taking a risk to get in there. And I had no concept about how much time was left in the round. I just heard my coach, Matt, yelling at me, saying armbar, armbar. Then eventually I was like, I'm gonna hit it. I stepped over and banged it out.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely a dominant win for a very dominant champion. What did you think of Hiraguchi in the fight? Obviously, you got a good feel for him in the first round. He seemed a little bit more dominant, but then obviously you put in your game plan and did a very, very good job throughout the fight. What were your thoughts taken away from this fight, and what were a couple of things that you're going to be working on in the gym after this one?
Hiraguchi's very tough. I mean, he comes from that karate background. The style is very difficult. I mean, you obviously see, when Lyoto Machida fights, he has the same type of style like karate, and people have a hard time dealing with that type of style. And we got straight to the game plan, which is taking him down and hold him there and finishing him with the submission. So the things we're gonna work on at the gym is just working on everything. The stand up, the clinch game, my grappling game, get a little bit better. That way, I don't have to wait to the very last second to finish somebody. But at the same time, everybody's pretty stoked that I got the submission at the very end, because now it's a record that can't be broken.
Well, that's exactly right. The thing about that submission is that you got it with 1 second left in not only the round, but the whole fight. Obviously, title fight, that's 5 rounds, 25 minutes. That record will never, ever be broken. I mean, like, win streaks can be broken, title rounds can be broken. But how do you feel knowing that you're in the record books for the rest of history, forever?
For multiple things, it's fantastic. I got the first ever flyweight champion of the world, 6 consecutive title defenses, and now, the latest finish ever in UFC history. So I'm just keep on putting my name in the history book, and hopefully it never gets broken unless the UFC goes to 6 rounds. So it's always awesome to cement my legacy with those things.
Yeah, you just said 6 rounds, and somewhere Rampage Jackson had a cold shiver go down his spine thinking about the possibility of having to fight 6 rounds. Now, when you accomplish something like that and are as dominant a champion as you are, where do you go from here? Apart from obviously taking the next fight, how do you challenge yourself further, Demetrious?
Keep on getting better and trying to improve. My last fight with Kyoji, there's a couple things, I sat down and I watched the fight, and there's a couple things I would like to be able to display out there. But, once again, it's a fight. Things are going to change. Things happen so fast in there. And I'm happy I came away with the victory. I didn't get dropped. I didn't take any big shots in that fight. So I'm happy. I'm healthy. My bones aren't hurt. I'm home with my family. I ain't got no concussion. So that's always a huge plus in my book.
Yeah, and it's a huge thing considering how tough Hiraguchi was. The unfortunate thing about that amazing feat is that a lot of people that came to the arena that night, they didn't even see it because they walked out. How does that make you feel knowing that people didn't stay for the whole fight? Did it bother you at all, or take away anything from that special moment for you?
Not at all, because it's my moment, and it was very special for myself and the fans who stayed and watched it, and the people who tuned in.
And when it comes to self-promoting, Demetrius, you made it very clear that you won't resort to manufacturing fake rivalries or trash talk. And really, the fighter's job is to show up and fight. Now, the company is the one that handles the marketing and promotion of the fight. In any way, do you think the UFC are pushing and promoting you adequately enough?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, this is my third interview I've done today, and it's my day off. And usually I don't do interviews at all, after I get done fighting because, everybody wants to talk about it. But, I'm starting to step my game up on my side to taking these interviews, doing them, and giving honest responses about it. So it's a slow working process, but we're on board.
Well, we can't tell you how much we really appreciate it. You've always been an utmost professional, but does it ever bother you that you put in another almost perfect performance and are one of the pound for pound best in the sport of MMA, yet people are so negative about, sometimes you and your fighting? Is there ever a part of you that sometimes is like, man, what's wrong with you people? I'm arguably one of the best of all time, not in a net arrogant way, yet you pay attention to the less talented and louder, more obnoxious fighters in the sport? Because, personally, it must be really hard. Would it be annoying for you?
It's hard, but I don't let it get to me. I have a family, a beautiful wife, and a life to be worrying about than to let other people's thoughts and comments get to me. At the end of the day, you just got to keep on doing what's best for you, and that's being positive and surrounding yourself with very positive people. And that's what keeps me motivated and keeps me going.
And obviously you've been a champion for such a long time now. Has it become easier for you to deal with some of that negativity now that you've been champion for a while and have had to deal with it for a bit now?
It comes and goes. I mean, it doesn't matter if I was a champion or not. Negativity is always going to be there. Depending on my stature and status in the sport doesn't, make it easier to deal with it. It's just the type of person I am and the people I surround myself with because, they all see me as, Demetrius Johnson, which is the kid who grew up in Parkland and who's just trying to make it in the world today. And that's how I surround myself with positive people so I don't hear that stuff. The only time I hear the negative stuff or people have to talk about is, during media interviews and if I, snoop online. But other than that, I'm living my day-to-day life. I don't hear the negativity at all.
Sure. Now, Dana White said, your time will come and you will be a superstar. And, if we look at history, it wasn't that long ago that the featherweight division was being overlooked for higher weight classes as well, despite how dominant Jose Aldo was a champion. Conor McGregor has brought a lot of attention to that division with his trash talk and belt stealing. Given your contrasting styles in terms of character, I'm just wondering what you think of Conor McGregor and the way he conducts himself.
I think Conor McGregor is a fantastic athlete and a promoter. And, I have nothing but love for the guy. He's great, and I'm very well looking forward to that UFC 189. Me and my wife, we've been watching the Notorious documentary, and it's just interesting. That's who Conor McGregor is, and I don't think it's an act. I don't think it's a front. I think he truly believes, what he says, and there's nothing wrong with that. That if that's where he was raised and brought up from, that's totally fine. Especially with the Mayweather and Pacquiao. If you guys have been following it, when Mayweather was, training for the Olympics, he was still out there hustling. When he had a pendant from the Olympics, he was like, hey, yo, man, how much you want from this pendant right here? He was still hustling. Now that he's an adult, he's still hustling. So you can't really say, oh, he's an arrogant, punk or something like that, because that's how he's been raised that way. The way I was raised was we don't talk shit. We don't run our mouth and do that stuff because, where I come from, you do that, you get beat up on the street. And so I'm an adult now, and I still believe in that, and it's just not who I am.
Yeah, and you're a great role model for a lot of the kids out there who want to become MMA champions one day. And you're always a class act and a gentleman. However, kind of seems to really bring it out in people. Just wondering, hypothetically, if there was a similar personality at flyweight that confronted you, do you think you would ever engage in a war of words? Because you've mentioned that you're not interested in manufacturing fake trash talk or fake rivalries. But if you truly felt negative towards an opponent, would we hear Demetrius Johnson convey those feelings in the future?
I don't want to say it would be negative. It would never be negative things towards my opponent. It would be me just telling my true feelings. And like I said, I'm an adult. I'm not in high school anymore. Like when I hear people talking about that stuff and, trash talking back and forth, the Jose Aldo and Chad Mendes one, that kind of put a smile on my face when, Jose Aldo got hurt, and then Chad said, "Oh, you're scared," and then Jose was like, "Oh, well, why don't you give me some of that supplements you've been taking?" And then you can supplement these nuts, and he posted a picture of his wrestling, and that was kind of funny and back and forth. But for me, I just don't see that's going to happen.
Well, hypothetically, if you were in Dublin and there was a flyweight and someone like stole your belt or anything like that, what would your reaction have been? Would you have kept calm, or would you have done something else?
I would have done nothing because it would not have been my real belt. My real belt never leaves my house. It's in my office above my computer. So I would have just sat there and laughed and say, well, that's good for you because it's a fake replica belt, but at least that's the closest you'll get to it.
It's funny because we had RDA on the show last week, and he mentioned that his belt just lies on the floor of his bedroom. So pretty funny. Now let's talk about some possible next opponents for you, Demetrius. John Dodson is the main name that people are talking about when it comes to flyweight challenges. Do you think that, assuming he wins his next fight, he will be the man you'll face next?
Absolutely. This is the UFC, and I'm looking to fight the best fighters out there. With that being said, it's looking like John Dodson, but if Zach Markowski gets past him, it could be him. There's a lot more great matchups coming up. Wilson Reyes is taking on Jerusio Formiga. We also got Chico Camus taking on Henry Cejudo. Not John Dodson. Joseph Benavidez also taking on John Moraga. So there's a lot of key matchups that are going to happen. And, anything can happen. Everybody back in the past, I was going to fight, the winner of Ian McCall and John Lineker. Obviously, something happened there. If I was that type of fighter that I got all my eggs in one basket, I'm like, okay, I'm fighting John Lineker, then I would have been not mentally prepared to be the best Demetrius Johnson on April 25th. But, it's whoever the UFC wants me to fight. Anything can happen in this sport. Anybody can get injured training up to a fight. So I just keep my mind focused on myself, and when they give me that date, I just prepare to be the best Demetrius Johnson on that date.
Sure. And we hope John Lineker does return to flyweight, just so that there is another contender there as well. Now, people are really excited about the rematch between you and John Dodson, so let's talk about him for a second. How do you see the second meeting going, and how much would you say you've improved and evolved since the first fight?
I see the meeting going very differently. Obviously, I expect myself to come out with the victory, but it's almost been maybe 2 years since we fought, and I've grown so much as an athlete, and so is he. Him overcoming the ACL surgery, and he's gonna have his first chance to come out here and fight, a pretty tough opponent. But, my game's been evolving. I've been working on my ground game, my stand-up game, and just my overall awareness. And I've been fighting guys that have been pretty tough. And I always tell people it's good for me to go the 5 rounds because I'm pushing the whole entire time in those 5 rounds instead of letting that one-shot KO punch on somebody. It's always good to have that too, but I think it's better for a champion and an athlete to go those 5 rounds, to be able to endure and push and put a beating on somebody.
Now, Demetrius, you're known for sort of just letting the UFC say who you should fight next, anyone, anytime. That's one of the things you're most respected about. Can you just take us sort of behind the scenes for a second? What's a typical offer from the UFC like? Do they just call you up out of the blue and go, Demetrius, this is the fight we'd like you to take, and you just go, yep? Or is there a consideration process for you before every fight?
You basically said it. They call us, say, hey, this is what we got going for you, and we basically respond like, sounds good. And then hopefully, we always like my favorite preferred place I like to fight is in Vegas. I love fighting in Vegas because multiple reasons. One, it's a short trip, 3 hours, no time different change. There's the big lights. There's lots of fun things to do in Vegas. So you can make the week go by fast. When I was in Montreal, the week went by very slow just because there's honestly nothing out there. There's stuff out there, but not like Vegas. So I'm a Vegas guy, and I never complain about where I'm fighting or who I am fighting. When they call me, we just get after it.
Yeah, not enough lights in Montreal, I've always thought. Now, you've got one of the most awesome sponsors in the fight game, and that's Xbox. From what we've seen, they're pretty much your exclusive sponsor. As gamers ourselves, we can relate. However, with the Reebok deal officially kicking in July, we're just wondering, how will this affect your relationship with Xbox, and will you still have them as a sponsor?
Obviously with the Reebok deal being landed by the UFC, nobody will have any type of sponsor inside the Octagon, only the Reebok one. With that being said, we still have a great relationship with Xbox. If opportunity presents itself to where I can go and, host a gaming thing, or I went down and did the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare party with those guys in San Francisco, I can do those opportunity things. But as for the live event activation with Xbox, it's not going to happen anymore. And that's my big thing. That was our big thing relationship.
Yeah, that's a bummer as well because it was almost the perfect relationship between you two. Now, the Reebok deal is a huge step up for the UFC and the sport of MMA, but it has been said that the top tier fighters of pay, excluding the champions, will be around $20,000 per fight. Given your past experience with sponsors, how do you think this matches up with what most fighters are currently getting from sponsors? Is this a step up in your opinion?
It's hard to say because everybody has their own sponsorship deals and their own way they go about managing and landing those big deals. So for me, I'm very happy with it. One of the things is that, a lot of the fighters don't have to go out and try to hustle and bustle with these different sponsorship companies. We all heard about, Fear the Fighter, how they haven't been paying their fighters. So I think it's a big thing that the UFC is coming in to bring us that money and that we don't have to show up. And it makes the sport a little bit more legitimized. I mean, not too long ago, we had Condom Depot as a main sponsor for the UFC. So we get like, WTF, what the hell's going on?
The good old days, yeah, and the gun store and all that stuff. We get nostalgic every time we see like old UFCs with those sponsors. Now, we're going to do something fun with you called the Smish Radio Tap Out Round with a bunch of fun questions. But before we do, we just have one more question. We have to ask you, one of the other pound-for-pound best and fellow UFC champion, Jon Jones, obviously he's been in the news all week. He was obviously involved in a hit-and-run incident and has been stripped of the title. What were your thoughts on the news? And also, do you believe the UFC made the right decision to strip Jon of his belt?
When I first heard the news, I couldn't believe it just because it's like, Jon Jones hit and run, marijuana in the car, pregnant woman, broken arm. And I was like, well, this can't be good. So with that being said, it's a very unfortunate situation. I obviously do think the UFC did the right thing. The UFC is probably one of the best organization in the world when it comes to mixed martial arts, and it's take care of its athletes. And this hasn't been the first time Jon Jones has been in trouble with the law. I mean, let's not forget, the man crashed a $400,000 Bentley that the UFC bought him. I ain't got $400,000 Bentley, but they bought him one, and he crashed it. So I think they did the right thing by, stripping him of his title, suspending him, and letting him take care of things that are important, which is him getting himself sober, 110% sober, and him focus on life again and take care of his family and leaving the drugs alone. So I think they did the right thing. And I think with him trying to defend his title, on Memorial Day weekend, just wouldn't have helped him in that cause of trying to get healthy.
Yeah, that's right. And do you think that one of the biggest negatives from this situation, apart from obviously the injury and all the stuff that happened around the hit and run, is the fact that Jon Jones is in his prime and fans and Jon Jones may miss out on an opportunity to fight in the near future? Who knows when we'll see him back? Do you think that's sort of one of the biggest negatives about the whole situation?
That we might be able to see him back?
That we might miss out on him in his prime and not be able to see him sort of fight at a time where he's in the peak of his career.
He's 27, so I'm 2 years older than him. I'm 20. I'll be 29 this year. Excuse me. There's no really peak in mixed martial arts. It's all about how well you take care of your body, how well you recover from fights, and how well you keep on evolving. And I think a guy like Jon Jones, he's going to keep on evolving. He's going to get better. And this time period, hopefully he doesn't have to go do any jail time. And all this time he's sorting his things out and the legal issues, he's still going to be training, becoming a better martial artist because this is what he loves to do. And this isn't like something that's hindering his health. This is bettering his health. This is almost his escape from that other, the addiction. So I think we're going to see Jon Jones is going to come back and he might be able to get his title back and beat whoever the champion is.
Yeah, well, absolutely can't wait. Now, Demetrius, to round out the interview, we've got this thing called the Smish Radio Tap Out Round. We fire a bunch of fun questions at you, some not even MMA related, just to get to know you, and you answer with the first thing that comes to mind, pretty much as quick as possible, basically like word association. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
What's your favorite Call of Duty game?
Ours
is Modern Warfare 2, just to make that easier for you.
No. I know how many there are. I'll say Call of Duty. I'll say Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. No, not Advanced Warfare. Modern Warfare. When it came out for Xbox 360.
Yeah, that was a great time. And apparently there's talks of them redoing Modern Warfare 2, which would be great. Now, what are you currently playing on Xbox? Hit us with the game.
Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, Destiny, Mortal Kombat X, and what's the other game I was playing the other night? Let's just go with those ones.
Mortal Kombat X, do you think Cassie Cage looks like Felice Herrig?
I saw the reference, but I don't think. I mean, come on, there's so many. My wife's blonde, and my wife can dress up like Cassie Cage, and I can make the whole debate.
Does your wife chew gum, though?
Yes, she does. She does chew gum.
There you go, Mortal Kombat, ripped off Demetrius Johnson's wife. Now, as a kid, did you play Nintendo 64 like us, and what was your favorite game?
Oh, man, Nintendo 64, I would have to be Star Fox and Mario Party. Mario Party was pretty dope.
Now, you were sitting next to Vin Diesel at one of the UFCs. Did you give him any MMA tips, and did he give you any driving tips?
No, when I asked for a picture, he felt like he didn't want to give me the time of day, to be honest with you.
No way.
Wow.
Vin Diesel, let me ask you this question then, because his voice is incredibly super deep in the latest movies. When you speak to him in real life, does he have a different voice to the voice in the movies?
And does he speak only in sound bites?
No, it was the same voice, so it was Toretto.
Wow. Here's a question for you, Demetrius. If you were a car, what car would you be?
If I was a cow, what cow would I be?
Yeah, if you were a car, what car would you be?
Oh, car. I thought you said cow, like moo.
The Aussie accent, yeah.
I was gonna be like strawberry cow. But if I was a car, what type of car would I be? I would be a Maserati.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, there you go. Quick. Now, you tweeted out that you enjoyed the Kevin Hart movie Wedding Ringer. What's one skill that we could hire DJ for, much like Kevin Hart, to get the job done outside MMA?
Oh, well, being your best, washing your car. I'm pretty good at washing.
This is the headline question right here, Demetrius. How do you feel about mustaches?
I got a beard. I'm okay with mustaches. I mean, mustaches are good. I'm good with it.
Okay.
Now, Demetrius, is it true that when you're in public, you generally don't tell people that you're a fighter?
Yes, my next door neighbor just found out what I did for a living. He knew I did mixed martial arts, but not to the magnitude that I do.
How long have you been neighbors for?
Over a year.
Wow. Oh, man. If you weren't a fighter, Demetrius, what would you be doing?
I would probably be in a warehouse working away or doing construction.
We saw a picture of you and Bisping on a plane on your Instagram account. Did any part of you feel tempted to shave off a little bit of Bisping's eyebrows for when he wakes up?
No, because I don't want to have to get in a fight in first class with Bisping.
Yeah, first class is nice, we've heard. If you could fly or have X-ray vision, which would you choose, Demetrius? You can only have one. Fly?
Fly.
Family Guy, American Dad, The Simpsons, South Park, or Archer? Which one do you choose?
South Park.
Now, other than fighting, playing video games, what's another hobby of yours?
Spending time with my you know what? I don't want to say spend time with friends. How about beer tasting? Each time, one of the things I love doing. I mean, I don't go out and beer taste on my own, but one of the biggest things that I do a lot of traveling on my own, and sometimes with my wife. And when we go places, we like to try different types of food and drinks. And I'm a huge beer taster. And the last beer I had that it was so delicious, it was called Black Phoenix Chipotle Stout Beer, and it was in California, and it was amazing.
Well,
Wow.
if someone ever offers you the delicious Belgian beer, just take that. Don't ask for Corona instead.
Now, Demetrius, if you could be stuck in one of the following characters' bodies for a day with zero consequences, which one would you choose? The Master Chief from Halo, Kirby, the rugged dude with the beard from The Last of Us, the lunging ball and chain with teeth that sounds like a dog from Mario 64, Lara Croft, or Trevor from GTA 5. This is a tough choice. Make a wise decision, Demetrius.
I'll do GTA 5 because I can do anything those other people you just named off besides the dog from Nintendo 64 Mario. Do all the other stuff.
Yeah, plus Trevor's awesome, our favorite character. Guys, you can follow Demetrius Johnson on Twitter at Mighty Mouse UFC. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to chat to you today, Demetrius. Thank you so much for doing the show, and we can't wait to see who you get matched up with next.
Hey guys, I appreciate it. You guys have a good time in Australia.